No, quickly, campaign because I can do a Agyapong campaign.
Ken campaign, yeah. The good thing is that Ken Etima sustaining momentum now 50 January basically. Of course, I mean, the momentum is like a space within the media space and the grounds.
Okay.
Unti mean sustain ya to that week we were a better report of kakra. But in the Ken's case, you know, a mama who say the campaign or running no if we're ready. Then you go on side it will move. Will be a sebu nipa don't know who say yes on bounce of us the asem, which in any event is not even true. Because now we don't go back to some radio say candidates of atem. That's what they do so far them. Also there, Pinam say, Mr. Muko praise we need him as of atem. Enti nipa bi na wono ye bibia anya dey entene okay bra Yesu Kristo wura asori dem ha na wono mo sintonto e dey asori dem mo to chacha e dey marketplace or mo to ade on he rebuked them enti ken ade a all ye ade a Yesu Kristo ye some few years ago, about 2,000 years ago, and one also repeat the same. Okay. But we have beyond that, and for an Agyapong campaign, I saw for an Agyapong campaign. Okay. Papa Usu Pano, Bernard, no more, of Sofa Makwatam, and also for Ben or Ghana, Jenny Tuma, own whom be being far Ken, say Ken and Yango Point the Eba. But the truth is, we are not banking all our hopes on prophecies.
Member horses, yeah, who can be, sir. Can I do a Agyapong campaign no? If you're coupon?
Yes, a divine.
One who be a Ghana for any young MPP for young who ye go aspirants no a num and he as a spokesperson who can say can the any dear if you're young coupon near patches say
Bono Ghana for a mebuno bre. Na ono esu agu nyame so a ama baby edru ezu hwe manim say esa ma presentation esere
na ta menya ba no afere me
na dey ebu ahwe no asere ase o ka no tim say akori kasa gege no dem mi kasa hwe me nsere o sira asa mo me kasa eduma na professional eduma na me we dem maybe December ya na ekwa atwea ohum na sofo baako ya na obuza amze na kwesi na school adwane school you know free SHS nwana na ya mo se saye no kwa na se nya no kwa mse open professional answer na se honest answer asi ja kwasa ke ka sofo na ndeti kasa
so quickly yeah why say free Yankopon
yeah the make can say Ken campaign if Rade say Ghana for mebunu abrabo essay one more is Rade so na Rade etie one more sufre and one more piebo and he can match it but within the same 4 years and 8 years I will be a benya as a president no Nyankopon de Ken ebeye adwuma sonko ama man no enya ne fa hodie ama mamu ane mabawa no so ultimately live the basic decent life I was say nipa bia timi de live bono ye mamu ha so me ma just an overview okay World Bank who say the election with the data election
yeah
World Bank one of my estimate say be 10 years from now so we developing economies to say be Africa no any Asia part of Asia no near there one more say any pair be hwehwe adwuma e about 1.2 billion say adwuma be 1.2 billion nipa be hwehwe emu 430 million maximum be 430 million penny benya adwuma na ye aye 800 million of say adwuma na nipa hwehwe no will not exist adwuma kro anya dey eni ho bunu ti asem no 800 million of say adwuma no kro anya dey eni ho what the ba ye bibrem obi abeka say bi wiase asem nyina na ye dey ye ka do the emfama ya ye bibrem what the ba Ghana ha one must say unemployment rate 14%. John Becassi was a Ghana Statistical Service Becassi so yeah unemployment rate here the air from Babusa who say one more Juman Bono kind of cratching home how do they survive? Because the same Ghana Statistical Service and World Bank Becassi will say Ghana for one more Juman 80% one more salary no 3,000. Now 3,000 Bono can all higher by say single room you say Timu amu mammy you know mammy and sano. Oh, it was officially non-officially in either day. How do you survive? No what to petrol. Na sebiu ubabonsa a year ababa weekend mebo abakwa yi asoro bako ubetwa tight ubetwa so ayede edi ndi wutimi se krum ha de is either we are magicians or we are doing something ya intimi nka no kura yede enkanto enti de corruption ya de nyina yede eba no. Now let's look at the remaining 20%. The remaining 20% no kura de Ghana Statistical Service wonu kura de omu live in abject poverty. Ndi emu eti ha no nipa bibinya kakra ma omo sako ma no ko ehu omo so mo ye de escafo.
Okay.
Why? Because say the basic necessities of life ema nipa bia enya nkankro ema nipa bia ntimi nsanko na no enya de kese bia obo no say wo timi wa okuro mu ha bo no so ye adwuma 10 years 5 years na opeka also timi ye de etobi so ye adwuma 15 years na no ye mu kama katu ebuma na se fie kura wo se mutimi ye de etobi no ye ma mu he binya de anyhow ade ye basic wo bia ma binya de anyhow. So I've read other statistics and other researchers. One must say, in Korea national service, a batch or more national service, it takes a minimum of 10 years for half of that national service batch to get job. Other half will still be still searching. The other statistics say, grad 12 years could be a 12 2 pen or man bit more ejuma.
Let me say
10 yes, your life will literally say. So nti abrabo en fatane normal people taking advantage, especially people no say koyo babuna eno na ekoso ya memu ha. Nti baby ya edru memu na isu. Mabawa na isu. Enne nkane no omo ton wo maame no mo nsase a ne aton no dey apply school no da kwata bochi. Enne kana dey apply kwa ya dey yemfa. And then more apply, Miss Memon be apply no school no apply for any day. Fabico for so who say, or more bar, and your school be no bed, or baby, Jania for do a school where Jano has a tuber. And to almost so cry because a lot of people are just on the street. Our tabu chase one tabuchi. So, into na make na tea ni pursue friend no catch them said no. Kennedy, why be pain? I come a crack Kennedy. And a tema Kennedy were and the experience I when ya a wound you may be on the track record. The track record is will be a nipa at his own level for the time or shall be seen there. Or shall our track record say we're in the employment list or employ more than 7,000 people. And the companies at the personal level, they were timaye. Now you say entrepreneurship. No, as Asian model. I dare Kennedy by their simple pay. He's not really coming to do any magic. Kennedy, for instance, say Zoom Lion, not Zoom Lion to me for 10,000 workers. What Kennedy is coming to do is say, or be create Zoom Lion Makoma 1,000. And this will be half any part 10,000. I don't know say. In terms of 1 million workers, unemployment that's something. Some more name about Juma Yomucha tax, Omucha tax, and you know the Bay Road, a year when they are hospitals. And the Kennedy, I made a neighbor, I be Numa, I'm a Ghana for a day, and a BA. I made the Kennedy, I be Numa, I'm a party for a day, and a BA. No, as a Kennedy and a star, he has always been advocating for 4 more for Nasi phone. No come as a mom. And do you hear election? Obitu I say, as a penny phone dinner, Dr. Bawumia and a 4 more for no say day, Ejina Kennedy. No, because our own team. Because penny phone there, woman and Dr. Bawumia by for the past 16 years. Woman, our party, Nima, a control no man. Ubi a sebu. Wakwate wedi a wo ye de o ka che so mepa ne nsasa ya na edion on ba koso ya de ejanechi na fomo fo na onu ba hu wo a de bia de sa om ho na de so om na bi ha ebi kura chese bi nsofo mpo no wakode wo katama ya de afa bi ya de edin because a year de ama no you know mfa say you know adena to an wo ni wo no tenten nti eguma ebi kura nhwie mu no bi de afa
Kwesi critics ka say fachem you I may ask hard questions but
yes
to erase certain misconceptions into allow me to ask those critical questions. Critics ka say omo follow Kennedy wo hene Agyapong no feel say omo di Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia echi no a lawyer for kukudamfo a bankers a kukudamfo we ye kukudamfo enti ye kodi na chi kura no a sabi o we ne kura ye nya ba bi enhye sa pepepe neti ana.
I don't think that is the case. Ohe Kennedy so akrati food neti pa. Ohe memu a Kennedy adwuma ya lawyers nkwan. One young professor bi Desiree wonu nyina o ahyasi ha. Onu nyina kan ho young boys. We said before no the last elections or koye no. Akoye say yes on the face value na appear sir. Because the establishment candidate was DMB, and there are no two ways about that. The establishment candidate, when a party for church do for any night, but they say now a quadane ya one who say no. Yan fucking ama, ya hobeche, be a intimate winning the general election 2028. Yan can't so be intimate winning election when people move. But we are saying say if the conversation is 2028, there can stand tall than any other person. A lot of them have switched. Sister can win near her. Kwarteng one fine brain. Charles Horse and no near her. I mean, the list can go Jojo, Rocky, no more, and Omuna. So more fine young men, Muniade. Made to a semester, me and Ranimni. Mean your coby, Amo, Professor Desiree, Numunia, dear boy. And she say, no, dear. Now, him call for qua, or no matter dear, or moon person, Becassa. say no entesa. But you see, every Obia election is a matter of strategy. Obia baby and who they the ewo. Where Dr. Bawumia, the image our building say, or ye Krachinia, as a one of the Bia. I mean that elitist push meboa but ken so ho dey our building is one dey okase off oni obi oni bia asem ye dey ema no enti enye very odd so be hu say e fonfo na bia ohunu so omunyo obi a no omu ne di kan ye dey echi because from the one omu na wate se kom ntokwa ye dey ema omu ken no ehunu say esrofo oni di ne bia munya bi ne on dey ontwe mo ase ofo no be kama asema ye dey ama omu nti ordinarily he will build the base there
okay
and a doctor no so no say ono so dey na koye ye economic lecture ye church adie mu so ye ko ha ye ma o so bia ba ko ya na so dey say the rich ideas who say ono so dey na koye say the middle class the class of people
yeah.
But baby to me no a form one a self one sovereignty resides in the people a form for the Honor Kennedy no we there we go no form ni
okay
so from ascend on ku square na CC for man nyamia pagya no abeye private businessman no oboa no okun no ka party asem no okun party for ntokwa mo no we build a support base. So when people say that they are not entirely wrong, but context is also very important.
So from where you sit you think say honorable Kennedy wa hini Agyapong and lead party no a ebe den say party between recapture power 2028
no correct the enti ameka sa na say un say MPP ya wabakosem so ya bakosem nyina no wo hwa fiti adubu ahen eba opani utie ni fiti adubu ahen ba besi Dr. Bawumia so no obi a wanya kwanya asom MPP bia no ayo obi a yevosu no especially call first time no otimi di bia dey account and you Professor Dubu ahen ono kra no in spite of sabre Rollins ehunu anom ne ade nyina unso onya 30% to 30.29%. Or call ye no a chief president ko for by obe contest and president ko for the call 30 from 30 no e dey call 39%. Now from president ko for 39% no so president ko for the crowd so by no so by far from 39 the call 49%. So the first time no president ko for the crowd obi free office crowd dey or call ya e the votes no e call ya to about 6.7 million votes.
okay
But o share in the history of MPP Dr. Bawumia nkwa na ho den no ye graph na cost on kwa na dey above from ana I mean records and the facts also on the data mind ya na ka watch data me ma data na ma background why I think say can bit my about no election e call no in 2024 no out of 16 regions no when say move 15 regions MPP declining in votes compared to 2020 ye wo me no ka say ye wo 9 regions na ye wo no out of 98 parliamentary seats no and this woman 93 you move 5 per tiasem ni yo ndi ye baby ejina no enye baby eye papa o ye 4 regions squad ye ni parliamentary rep ye wo nipa close to 400,000 over 345,000 ono mo kotoma parliamentary candidate no omo wie no mo hwe presidential candidate ni ye dey etutia no ye nka say eye ono Dr. Bawumia no ye dey wakoso but sometimes you can be in a certain circumstance na yes obetwe ho ayede esinchen
but we say Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia ka say the data but then you so the data go up how
I say say data election here running just say data election here running 100 and election kwaya no you 276 constituencies 276 constituencies no we say John we need 199
okay
199 Dr. Bawumia lose 199 Joshua nipa constituencies in the rejection rate was about 72% rejection rate nti election e koye nya election say yakwa na party na anya it goes beyond party na anya it also shows say the popularity of the candidate the koye
honanka council facha me honanka me ba ne say
yes
MPP as a political party ne lose ya na say the candidate no a frontier lead MPP and the party in Lusu.
The popularity of every candidate counts. What I say? The popularity of every candidate counts. I remember example, President Akufo-Addo. Okay, 2016 or thereby, 2020, they are accusing this work banks. 2016, from 2016 by 2020 election, they are accusing this work banks. They are accusing this work galamse. So okay, but yes, still, the voter share equals more than time about 2016 election where they own. So over 5.6 or 6.7. So it should say sometimes a candidate matter. If a candidate doesn't matter, there. Now saying about if it is a party, there is the same party now. But President Akufo-Addo then any munyam, any GD, the trust, the confidence that people have in his personality, any credibility and all about their man. The whole party slogan was even revolved around him. To the sense, say, I say 4 more for Nana. Meanwhile, Nick bit Maka say 4 more for MPP. And doing the Minipani book, so, Okas MPP, I don't so MPP, the Kufa and appointees in Anya day, Armoano, Bakufado, or Yade. So it was a nice popularity and a dear day, a But in the case of the Tabaumia, I say, be our year or Yenny Pabonium. But don't say penny for cracker say in so cry to me 32 years of having been in the party no. Emu 16 years na wanya kwanya de asom. Nti nipa no bisu say nim de ne adwen pone ahoden ne bibia wo som nyina within 16 years there. We lead the party there what my de ayewie. Nti nipa no bisu so ye kwa na ye de gyanchen. For instance, ebi as nipa to tier party on the ground on the basis of economy. It is not a case say wo economy no be na wo vice presidential candidate na economy na onya de onka ho. Buniti assembly you because on the for instance on the economy no Mahama at the dollar no eba 1:4 meboa ana wo ade a wo ko school ekosua ho nim dia nim se wonim ho nyansa eye ho PhD wo Canada eye the economy oba no may not even be you but circumstantially no na ekwa around by 4 to 17. How then do the people look into your face? Some who and catch us say, well, 17 was better than John Mahama. And even as a matter of strategy, no, sometimes even better say any sadia. Okura no say a woo, say a woo, a mojin and chenny mo before, and go from facade nenya day, and children edna nimquay day. And 16 years a year, the ideas be a will be away the way. And if you say, the party ni shire bia wo mu ni adodode bia na bia mo so no nkrofo wa yede onya bi de saa de a ebiku aka mo twem ho mo bi so yede e ba ya nka no so be de ebe yi nti it's not really about say bia Dr. Bawumia no nkrofo ta na say he just say a poor candidate no but sometimes even the circumstances around him no e brebia ni nipa be de ebe yi no now compared to Ken
okay
say Ken dey nkrofo ginidi. So now me show be or say one presenter or say Dr. Bawumia is not a liar. Me wo GDS Dr. Bawumia onya trofo. But what was the circumstances around that election? The circumstances around the 2024 election, that was the image they portray about him. So no be oyede or bia or kasem oyede or this so. And the probably break cancer there man. In that circumstance no so coalition our candidate we build the trust and credibility and kofo oyede ejinidi. Eso ken your kind of cre. Ken your kind of adwen. Kendi wo ya onye dey ontwema kendi wo akokodru hwe na no aye akoya Blekumanofo aye dey ekoyi so na Blekumanofo ekoyi just 19 police station kofo koye dey ekotwifa yesu people started talking say you can park as ad week enye dey ensi nti what we are saying is say abribia ni leader nyankopon ye dey eyiniba after 16 years and all over the world there was even a poor strategy only 3% of vice president pay the team associate your boss all over the world. Yes, so we're going into that election. Says we are not saying say onye any papa, but what we are saying is that wabasum and on the dia 16 years ago they also be aware. Sometimes even in the spirit of revival, you need a new face. Okay. Say your question. Oh, name your presby. Ungo be down. Sabe, me go presby. You'll be a friend of revival in Kenya. So that me first of all free different dioceses the near day. Yeah. And they say be a also for no radio. But when the matter now familiarization that the album and to watch only nti to the mo bi ba no abeye abe Kenya mo nti saa no wani nyina de ewo ho but now no bu aso wo hwe yesi Kennedy say wa mi ofre yesi Kennedy bi o mo so Kennedy ano asem ene ade na may lose election ene ade na be entesa we see there comes a time where we need to own up to responsibilities ne ka no kra che ho say achia ne mui by the senior bebo nyina the see no ankoi but I take ultimate responsibility and I'll fix it. That's what we have to do. But
as a spokesperson for Kennedy Wahine Agyapong, when you say we part of the MPP lose 2024
I reject that. I mean someone joe and when me tie me offer or say chairman sabonso I feel you say we almost starting almost Kennedy na ma you lose here I mean someone joe Kennedy started aside from Edubu Ahembro. Sir, one of the idea of modern accused Kennedy pass or frame people from Kwasiafo and then this is for Marine Kancho Kano 2015. And the bra mia penny Gabia Sarache Dako, and that's Santibedia to President Kufado, Safuma for Mokui meeting Kufudia, party ni a record one family MPP station. No, the record coma a pro NDC station, more day, a coboy. Nankade, a how can see better and the phone at him for the entem. Kennedy ni sika na ye party hu na ye ne ya no sinipa se bi wage me from kwan na be yes aade adewi in that context say sim the year 2015 no 2015 no saa Bernard no kan impa we living within a certain context no omo no patch say 2015 ntimi ama Akufo-Addo lose 2016 but now ma 2024 mom na Dr. Bawumia be dey lose it can be logical ti asem no bono say Kennedy anum asem Kennedy enipa onye saint what you say enoma no bi wo ha yebehunu so ke bi o kan say na o kan say ke be dey beboa but enoma no mo say Kennedy ke kan ya lose election bono DDP Kennedy na koka ho asem DDP nye Kennedy na koka ho asem saa na kofo ya be 2 years ya ntwe mu kai eno Kennedy na koka ho asem nye Kennedy na koka ho asem galamsey fight ya na atwetwere yebu ya na ho asem ka be de Kennedy na koka ho asem nye Kennedy na koka ho asem so there are a lot of factors that affect here when the dollar move from 4 to 17 you know aboso kan fo su obi esu ordinary people so petrol near tutum no Kennedy no asem na koka ene Kennedy no asem so I don't think say we should maneuver the truth and run away from it. Say because Kennedy is all contesting, all of a sudden, no asem. Hey, now no asem na me to me lose election there. Then he should as well be a very powerful person. But no money be high. Yakika as a party anya the uncle yanya the ama yahum. Yen fan che hum Agyapong and me bono no kre say Samson we na no. If say assassin na no Kenya Dr. Bawumia na no say obe party we. Assassin na no jina mu ka say oh me na modem kwa akon no me na me di animu. The TBA say ku you say you I take responsibility. Enya Akufo-Addo na anye we enya Gabi na anye we enya Kennedy na anye we enya Dutum na anye we say the nipa bi a wa anye ne bibia ye kura me na me di akona ne me ne nipa wa re o me di akona ne ntini nyina me Dutum Agyapong mo mfa nche na de aka nyina be kan hu obom ne aye ni am sure say ke nru ho senke ye hyase sa akura ka enya de ke nru but the koba say oh ye tu fu amu kura na
ni sa a chopa no Kennedy wa hina Agyapong hu ni say a right step na Dr. Bawumia will take his over patrol say party na nyade into a mumfancha na because honorable Dutum about one thing abetu ga say wo panacho one panacho because any sector via and na ahode
I think say time no the be patch on ma chopa no I questionable nipa nim bebre be so say oh say nye genu na wo tena ho ye to aba wie ne
Dr. Bawumia Achopa na nye genuine apology.
Time no emma na nye genuine emma no susu say genuine. O compare your news card o go in time no say na me ka say kedikan na wo hwe ya o hwe kan ho asema but don't say dikan no now it was more of a blame game. Okay, say ye call thank you to on yes Akufo-Addo ye to petrol mu onim ni ade eche mo say Agyapong na call so ye defeat eche ko mo say Agyapong anu asem mo say it went here it went there but I'm saying say ka obi a o kan ntemo a Agyapong be de ebeba but when ebeka be 3-4 months election na be ga say o pa acha dia eno de nipa ni bi so say bia ni acha o pa o pa no wo mo ebe hu se bia nyegini but I mean whichever we say is better late than never also patcho or patcho say nipa ni bia acha chere madwe say na no me hwe me nwa pani gabia ono so chere na adwen ye de ewo ho me so obi a chere na adwen ho nti wo hwe acha pa na enye party fo ni bebre na ne hwe ye mpacho a acha pa ni mu no emma obi anya impression say obi foforo na aye bone na enti na wo patcho no that's not how we do it ye patcho to take responsibility ti asem ni yo ye patcho to take responsibility ye patcho to apportion blame patcho ti assembly you your patcho to take responsibility. We don't apologize to apportion blame.
But apportion blame na.
Oh, say background no ho. O hwe nsem akoswa o we na ye say we na minim aha na menye say aha na menye say ya. So I say nkofo bi susu say ne campaign yi call for more hu say campaign no. What say ya to zoom campaign ya to zoom na ma. I say achopa na ye de eba. But I mean whichever way is o penny o so patcho ayate. Ya de mpa bota na chi.
Right, Kwesi, but who say critics ni be me so critics are you understand it from where you are coming from. Critics ni be kase say MPP kase chinchina chin akani ana say yedene ba e dangerous ma MPP 2028. Obi ti say honorable say Chairman Sabunsu ordinary notum say e be unfair say yenya sremni famanu siye na wa baba ko ne be ka se yi na si nchen ne de akani aba because akani de wokufo ba ye premier nu mampanyi na nado ba ye premier nu nti den ne bedru and den ne bedru Dr. Bawumia so a ye be ka so akoba kwa nye yi a yɛmfa no nsi nkyɛn issue no yɛ akani siremni ana awunani ana bununi ana issue no yɛ den Kwesi Kwarteng
mono no kure ne say sa asem no say nye video na mehwe ya ka min ndisa nda say honorable say chairman sabons na yede e kan won say ono no ebuo kwan so no ba bia mede no toto no e wo soro pa o e party pani pa nti nseni bi wo ho a bia it marks divisive comments not to mince words nseni bi wo ho a nya asema eden kabom yede eba eden papa mu entity mu ne papa mu na yede eba nti no ordinarily you would have expected say nko obi kura nka na onu momu nya dey entwe na adwen so say saa asem we ye nya dey nka bono ma mu so asem last election say call ye no na kanfo ni ho na Dr. Bawumia to abaye de hema no ase wonu mo koye kura ma na yesi say dey it's almost criminal to be an akan na ho na yesa last election call ye na kanfo ho ana ye nyina ebo mu koto abaye de ema Dr. Bawumia because adabre no me hu say on na betime di party na ni ma ye de ediako. But bono masema me woka we asem we hu ne tiawa masema me woka nyina na say party no ye hia obi a obetimi a winnable candidate candidate obetimi age akoya na ye de amaye somebody who can win 2028 for us. We need a winnable candidate. We don't need a candidate because of his ethnicity. Ye hia winnable candidate and not necessarily an account candidate. What I say? Nti no many be why dey papa mu njiche mu ba.
And from when you are coming, mu dey na nya kan sem.
No, you hear me about candidate. No, me say last elections no. Last elections no. Nti na kanfo no na to abama sremni. Say MPP say only about a sremni ni akanfo asama. We are not fighting. We are not competing for anything. O mani nye sremni na die so. So this answer na say can anytime bia no we use it as a weapon near the incite one people against the other no nya de hu ye de ehia say see awo ka se kwan bia ye hia esemuni indirectly that's what he say you know nkofo so aka bono nkofo so aka say bia semuni efiri ho a wo de another semuni ba bia Ghana for nya de enyini nti bi na no yante say bright champion starting the campaign ka say achimni ko achimni ye nya de ema enti wo kaka saa na nkofo eso kode de sansensem ne yiwa no a ene na ma saa politics of division ne tribal ethnic policy near the eba into where the no sebio or say chairman sabons or ye penimu adwobro ye say that divisive comments no and the remarks onyai eye the eka then PP is more interested in getting a winnable candidate. Dr. Bawumia is saying na bono yenka say Dr. Bawumia because he's a bia an ordinary. No, we are saying say the performance the track record of the course election ye de ku bi o emwa party no be a party ni jina emwa won't mean to me the MIA. We just want a strong candidate, not an account candidate. We want a strong candidate, not a northern candidate. We don't care maybe any party the free. All we need is say nipa kwa de rebano or the mu do betima yede agitumi yede amaye. The sakasa na kasa boni bekase. I mean it's fit for discussion and it's fit to come from somebody of his status. No.
Dr. Bawumia Apology abetu dwa say si kase ne suma wosom sebi manu de sumina so. Adi aya me pese me ka ho asem yesa no ma we but enkomodie nti ni nkomo. Se ne suma wosom e ka ho bi na ema MPP lusu ya na sebi woni bi mo critics enya adwen because or outperform me 236 Christian MPP parliamentary candidate PC for and is amoka say we nkramoni nti Ghana for anto aba ma no a woni mo nya.
First of all, my answer in two stretch, and I want to be on record. The way the Mami can, I'm sure the show is ending. First of all, Obien who akasa or Muslim untina or lose elections, and I'm not sure Obetima pointed to anybody with such an evidence as Messi and Obensen can be sir. It's speculative.
Okay.
Secondly, that logic in our advance, and of course the example I will borrow to sustain his argument and it's faulty. It is not true. Say or for more 236 candidates. Patrotinio. Just a fleeting comment and fleeting analysis no yet make here. And not true. 236 candidates, he didn't outperform them. Do you know why? The whole 276 candidates, our file, 89 pe. The other now outperform more 236 candidates. Now, let me give you the trust of the matter. The 236 candidates no mere Christians. It is not a case say they were contesting with NDC Muslim pieces. NDC has also filed 215 Christian candidates. So the Christian candidates that were competing for the pieces, they were 91%. And the other now, the Christian candidates are competing among themselves, assuming without admitting that religion is an issue. Effectively, no, religion will not be an issue because we are Christian and now we are PC and I'm NDC and I'm Christian and I'm PC and I'm MPP. There wouldn't be anything as religion. Now, TBU. I didn't know that Bawumia or then who compare presidential candidates and who compare the own pieces. Is he contesting them? You are not contesting your own pieces. What I say, we own parliamentary candidates. How do you compare yourself to them? Who opponent is John Mahama? He's a Christian candidate. And if you want to play religious cards, you compare yourself to John Mahama, and then the parliamentary candidates then compare themselves to the parliamentary candidates. On what basis? Now presidential candidates who compare who to a parliamentary candidates. And that the parliamentary elections, what the elections and the presidential elections and parliamentary elections and presidential elections are not the same. Factors that influence parliamentary elections and they're the same as factors that influence national elections. My example, also they be offer in T for Joe, Reverend T for Joe, so Reverend T for Joe cry or ye Christian Poco so for cry, but there were other dynamics of course. Reverend T for Joe, he had an independent candidate. What is that about Miaka Wazemba? And then the one for Ankahu. What I say, so the parliamentary elections are local elections. In any event, 91% of them that were contesting were all Christians, both MPP and NDC. In the other now, who compare and contest already, they were both Christians and there was nothing like religion at the parliamentary level. What I say, and so even if people are accusing you, say religion can affect you at the national level, the best comparison for Dr. Bawumia to do. So the people will not accuse him for maneuvering data and making fleeting analysis. Should have been on comparing him to John Mahama and not to his own pieces because he was not contesting the pieces. This is our logic, Canadian. I mean, from the data man, I'm surprised. Unless, of course, he will be the AC. But let me make a correction. Make a statement. It is not to suggest to say, be a asthma can say he was affected by religion. Babuno, no can say any part that's any TV. A lot of factors affect our behavior, including voter behavior. We are affected by our tribe, our environment. What I say, Bebu how Aribu ha Usebu home Kubida. Boy, Uncle Ega unte se okwa rebuza. Ye wasumbu ha wabusia ukomo ema onye de unkomuda. It affects us. And if you want to be sit here and be dismissive about it, maybe we may try two Muslim candidates from the same tribe in the north. Near Fanko elections maybe we will still want to experiment. What I say. Let's be very frank to ourselves. One the Kobo Panetia or then you're right out and Mbappe or right out to the left in the Kobo. Who does that? NDC for almost set a trap on my end. You can't change this for say so almost pass ante for sema or munko fast ante in your flabera. You can't almost pass ante for sema or munko fast ante in your flabera. Near here also election but some of them almost some of them or account for. Omo so mo pack and for nyina asem omo pass ante for asem so mo do account for do asante for won mo nkokuma asem for bi yon flabera party ayato about 1592 MPP asante region to MPP voter region to NDC. Why do you say this is influence here? What does it I mean
it play key role.
It plays a role, but you see we've learned to live harmoniously with each other. Intenya dia we want to promote, but we cannot pretend say now that Dr. Bawumia why campaign one say oka say who refuse oka say John Mahama ye Ninya no na obeko 4 years na ono wo chance oko 8 years na say the John ba 4 years another not the team maybe. These are comments that were made. One day oka say oko benya zongo vote aba. What I say? The day kweti ekoyi because we don't want NDC people to accuse us say empen lordness ahead the asem. The day now could say obi a yiwu to clear certain perception. Then after the election, that perception automatically cannot be discussed.
And me pretend this ethnicity in play role.
We can deceive ourselves that ethnicity and religion doesn't play a role. But I'm saying, say, ethnicity and religion influences voter behavior and it influences everything. Ebia, there could be circumstances beyond that. But to catch them say, yeah, this is here. Take, hey, what VIP station da?
Okay.
What VIP station? Bus is 102. One would driver need them on bombay and ministry and driver on Waku Square, a train is a driver. Yes, in a ministry and in free and on some Holy Spirit, we are people of religion. So why are you pretending to ourselves say religion doesn't affect us, religion doesn't does anything? Mamisha young girl, we call her out here. So be a on your religion. I'm got. I saw him sometimes. I saw him crying. You know, Christopher. Would you got also yes, the new presby, no arena, the bush of one the emperor.
Different denomination.
Different denomination. Kekebia me Christopher. And nobody is punishing him so ye cremonintia. No, that's not what we are saying. But if he wants to advance an argument to say, religion and ethnicity has an influence in voter behavior. If you want to do a pure academic exercise there, then I disagree with him. And especially in the example, come and say, or 236 Christian in pieces. Let him know, say that he was not contesting the 236 Christian pieces. He was contesting Domahama. And that 236 Christian pieces, their opponents, 215 of them were also Christians. So there was nothing like religion that played at the parliamentary level. And so that argument is null and void. Wait, data near you. It's that data when I know some or did it about matter no. Or the bar, me and discussing. Intellectual community, you discuss it.
That's all you better say. But final question, I know a very hard question, and I wish it's on because you too early. Kazo.
Obi the message be about
Sir, Kennedy or Agyapong, to me winning Nami Yadum 31st January 2026. Obe pese. Obefa Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia as running mate. Mimi Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia made a question back you know. Every day 31st January 2026. Now Wakasa Wafa Kennedy as running mate. Obe pese Obe running mate. Simple question here, sorry.
I think that decision is at their level. Now me they are two responsible adults. I to make such decision. But inside the way, so be our vision. Oh, it's not really about.
But you as a spokesperson,
me sure say no. It's just really about getting a position. Omo vision that they want to come and implement too.
Okay, but so
and vision
also contribution is very important.
And you know that about me as advice. I'm not here. Want to be that. Okay, as best advice be on you be. Obi advice 8 years or say, and maybe we know him. No, okay, as command advice be over. I think his vision he can well implement it as the president of the country.
Because not the vice.
Maybe the future will decide, but I am so convinced that he can implement it as the president. Or me sure say vice or so bit my.
Man, I say, and I know you be man here me fair, which is a me bo abaso.
Yes.
And about two me sorry and me call page. We are no post to Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia. Keep it up.
Me penasemo na me penasemo but I say 2020 we know I boss no cost pa me penasemo na say 2028 na me susu say no de na ho de no ko onye statement no mfa nimde no we so rich ideas ba we say rich ideas na ko the touchy special experience ni ade no aha me de me ogide say doctor na nkasa kra de ko nya ko obepen ba bia atra na we say to da stakeholders interested parties no. Oh, ne Germany yodo. Na say ade agro so be so e ficha no. Nti kan be hu de eko. O aye ya o 20 ebusa se be bia kwa ntu nim be bia eko. Adane.